Let's move away from fractions and talk about decimals. Sometimes you have equations where coefficients are decimals. For example, 0.2x minus 3 equals 4.58x minus 7.1. Right? You have equations that have decimals in them. And just like with fractions, there is a way to convert this equation into an equation that does not have decimals. While in fractions, we use the trick of multiplying both sides of the equation by the common denominator of all fractions, here we're going to use a trick of multiplying both sides, I should say, of the equation by a power of 10. So multiplying by 10 or by 100 or by 1,000. The purpose of this video is to give you a quick refresher on how to very quickly multiply a decimal by a power of 10. And the whole idea is when you multiply by a power of 10, you simply move the decimal place over to the right by that many places. Since in this case we're multiplying by 10, right, 10 to the first power, or 10 with 1 0, however you want to think about it, it tells you move the decimal point once. So you still have your 1 and you still have your 3, but the decimal point moved from being between the 1 and the 3 over to the right. And remember, when you have a decimal point here, it's as though you don't have one. The answer is just 13. Let's take a look at another example. 3.452 multiplying by 100. Again, pretty straightforward. You're multiplying by 1 with 2 zeros. That means the decimal point is going to travel 2 places, always to the right. And so you still have your numbers 3, 4, 5, and 2. It's just that the decimal point, instead of being between the 3 and the 4, is going to be between the 5 and the 2. So the answer is 345.2. You may find yourself in a position where you're saying, geez, I forget, do I multiply the decimal point to the right or to the left? And there's a fairly easy way to keep yourself on track. Just remember, when you multiply by 10 or 100 or 1,000, your number gets bigger. So when you go from 3 roughly to like 300 something, your number got bigger. You moved in the right direction. If this is still a little bit fuzzy to you, you can always try a few more examples before going to the next video. I'll just make a small note that if you have a multiplication where you're multiplying, let's say 3.7 by 1,000, where you're saying, geez, I need to move my decimal point 3 places, but I only have 1 digit, nothing's preventing you from adding those 2 extra zeros, because remember, those zeros don't change your number, and now you have enough spaces to move the decimal point. The answer is just 3,700. All right, at the next video, we'll do some equations.